Hi guys, today I'm going to show you the introduction to Visual Studios and just playing around with a bit of controls and coding just to give you a quick introduction of how to use the Visual Studios environment. Let's get to it. Okay, so we're just going to open Visual Studios and then we're going to create a new project. So Visual Studios offers you all of these projects that you can create. We're just going to filter for C#, Windows, and in C# and scroll down until you see the Windows Form applications with the .NET framework. This one, Windows Forms app .NET framework. Make sure you're on the C# and not C++. C# desktop Windows. Next, give your project a name. I'm just going to say intro. Choose where to save it. I'm going to save it on the desktop and create. Okay, so now you're in your Visual Studios environment. I like to call this the dashboard because it kind of is. You have your Solution Explorer at the right hand. Every time you add another form or another class or any media or such, is going to display in your tree here, your properties and your references. You have your assembly info, your form info with your designer. You can view your code, the designer's code, with your namespace and your form. Just going to close this for now, and if you further, you can see all the methods and stuff, and your program.cs. you're going to change later in the module. Might want to change something, the program.c# file, it's located right there. And there at the bottom you have your properties window. You're going to be working a lot in this. You can change it to categorized or alphabetical sorting. I like to stay on alphabetical sorting because it's just easier to navigate than categorized. And then at the left hand side you have your server explorer, which you will go into later in the module, your data sources, and then your toolbox. You're going to be working a lot with your toolboxes as well. You have all your Windows forms. These are all the controls that you can put on your form and play with and experiment with. You have your combo box, your date and time picker, your label, a list box, and that's the basic info. And you can resize your form like you want to. So let's click on the form, and I want to change the caption of my form from form 1 to the hello world. So you're going to go to your properties window, and you can see the name of your form is form 1. We're going to leave that like that, and you're going to scroll until you find the text property. Text, so I'm going to change from form 1 to hello world, and I'm clicking enter. So now it changed from form 1 to hello world. Now let's add some controls. We're going to go to the toolbox, and I'm going to search for a label, and I'm dragging the label to my form. Okay, you can see it's a very small label. So now let's change the label name from label 1 to label heading. This name, you will see when we go further into the tutorial now, the name is what you're going to be calling it in the code. So whatever your control's name is here, is you are going to use that to be calling it and use methods for it in the C# coding file. So let's change the text to hello world. Okay, but as you can see, it's a bit small, so let's go and play around with the font a bit. There's our font. Let's make it 25, and you can also change the font name. Don't know what's this, not a big difference. Okay, so now we have changed the font name, and we can also make it bold. And you can just drag it and resize it as you want. I'm gonna put it right here. Next, let's add a picture box. So I'm just searching for picture box, dragging and dropping it onto my form. Let's make it nice and big. And always the first thing you do when you add a control is you rename it, because you are going to forget if you don't rename it. So I'm making a picture box cat, and now I want to upload or display a picture of a cat in this picture box. So I'm going to scroll down to the properties. Like I said, you're going to be working a lot in this properties window. I'm going to scroll down to the image property, there where it text is none. Click on the three dots, and then I'm going to import a picture, the cat picture on my desktop, and I'm going to click OK. So now I've imported the cat picture, and you can see in your Solution Explorer it made a new folder, resources, and under resources it imported the cat.jpg picture. As you hover over it, you can see a template of the picture. So next, let's add some buttons. I'm dragging it, and let's name this button show, btn show. Always rename your buttons. And let's make the text show, and it's too small for me, so I'm going to make the font a bit bigger. We can make it 12, and I'm resizing it. So now a good trick I want to learn you is when you writing an application that requires a lot of buttons and a lot of labels, it's not necessary to go to the toolbox and drag and drop. You can just click on it, and I'm typing Control C, and then you type on you click on the form again, and then Control V. So then it copies the control, but only the control's properties. Okay, so it doesn't copy the methods or anything that you have written inside the button. It only copies the properties from this property window. And you can see the button now. This button's name is button show, but if I click on the second show button, it's button 1. So it just copies the property value, so you don't have to customize it for every single button you're putting on your form. So let's call this button hide. Scroll down to the text, and let's make it hide. Okay, so the first thing I want to show you, let me just tell you what we're going to do. So if I click on the show button, I want the cat picture to show, and if I click on the hide button, I want the cat picture to hide. Okay, but if I'll get to that in a second. So now I want to write code for when I click on this show button, and how I'm going to do that, well, I can show you here as well. If you go to your properties window, you can see there's a properties, and then there's events. So if you click on the button, you go to the events bar, you can see all the events that goes along that you can do with the button. Okay, so you can, when a client size is changed, the default one is clicked as always. You can have a drag and drop with a drag enter. You can have when the enter button is clicked, when you leave the button, the key up, all those methods can be invoked using the button. Okay, but right now we want the click, so you're going to click on the click property and then double click on this empty space. Okay, so now it automatically created the method for us. Private void, it tells us the button show click method, and we have the sender and the event arguments. So what you see here is your form1.cs file. You can also access it by right clicking on the form.cs and clicking view code. Okay, if I close this and I go to form1.cs and I say view code, it's the exact same code. So here you can see all the libraries being used, the namespaces and the classes. This is just the form1's constructor, and this is the method that created when we clicked on the click method of the button. Button show click. So what I told you, I want to show the cat picture when the button show is clicked. So I'm going to do that is I'm going to call the picture box, and then I'm going to invoke a method inside the picture box. Okay, so what do I want to do? I want to say, hey, the picture box, which I called pbcat. Remember, I recalled the picture box, click on it, and you go to the name. I called it pbcat. I'm going to say pbcat, I want you to hide, and I want you to show when this button is clicked. So I click the period button on my keyboard, and you can see all the properties and methods that goes along with the pbcat, because the pbcat is a picture box. If you hover over it, you will see it says it's a picture box on the form1, and it's called pbcat. So I want the pbcat to show. Okay, and it auto completes the command for me. I just press tab, but it needs open arguments and a semicolon. Always remember your semicolons. So that's it. When I click the button now, if the picture box is hidden, it will show up. Now let's write code for our hide button. Now instead of going to the properties window and creating a method, I'm only going to double click on the hide button. Okay, and then it automatically creates the button handle for me, button hide on click method. So it's the same as this. Can you guess? I'm just going to replace show with hide. So I'm always going to say pbcat dot hide. Press tab with open arguments and semicolon. Okay, so let's test it. How are you going to run your application? Very simple. You just go to the start button there and you click on start. Show. Okay, my picture box is already shown, so let's go to hide. It's hidden. Show, hide, show, hide, show, hide. Okay, that's all I wanted to do with the picture box for now. Now maybe I say, okay, I want the picture box to be hidden when I create my form. Okay, so how we're going to do that, we're going to need to be in the create form method. Okay, so go to any empty space on your form and double click. So you can see it created a form load event. You're going to be working a lot with this form. So everything you put inside of this method is going to happen during your form load. So if I want to hide the cat box, the cat picture, at the beginning of the application, I'm going to put the code here. So I want to hide it. So I'm going to say pbcat dot hide and start. Okay, this is expected, so you can see there were errors. Would you like to run it from the last successful build? You say no. So what is the error? Then you go to your error list and say only assignment, call, increment. Expressions can be used as a statement. So it says this is not a method, this is a statement. Where, in which file? It says in the form.cs file, which line? 32. Then you go to line 32 and say, oh, whoa, this is not a statement, this is a method. And because it's a method, it needs arguments. There is no arguments to pass, so we pass an empty arguments. And there the error is gone, starting. And now my picture of the cat is hidden from the start, and I can show and hide and show and hide. Okay, one more thing I want to show you is the close button, or how to close a form. Once again, I'm copy and pasting, Control C and then Control V. Let's put it here at the bottom. Change the text to close, and the button's name is button close. I want to create a method for the on click event, so I'm double clicking on close button. Created the button close on click event. So what this button must do, if I click on it, it is going to close my form or close my application. There's two ways to do this. You can say this dot close, and because it's a method, you can see IntelliSense tells you that it's a void, it doesn't return anything, and it needs open brackets because it is a method. So it's open brackets, or you can say application. I think it's terminate. No, I think it's just exit. Yeah, or you can say application.exit. I usually use this dot close. It works just as well as application.exit. So we're going to do that for now, but there is two ways. So now when I quickly run it and show hide, now I closed it and the form is closed, and I'm back to my dashboard. Okay, so maybe I want to show the user a message box, or a message that tells him you are about to close the form when he clicks on the close button. Okay, so we're going to do this above the this.close line, but I'm going to show you first if we do it underneath. So I want to talk now about IntelliSense. IntelliSense is built-in into Visual Studios, and it helps you a lot. It shows you how to work with your methods, and it's showing you the overloading and what data types to use, etc. So I want to display a message box, so I'm going to start by typing message, and then you can see all the related methods to message. Okay, there's a message box button, icons, options. I only want a normal message box for now. And what do I want to do with that message box? Well, I want to say dot, well, I want to, and then it gives me all the available methods that I can use with message box. So I want to not equal reference, I want to show. And now when I open my argument brackets, it's going to show me all the overloaded methods that I can use with messagebox.show. It tells me I can use only use a string and text. I can use a string and a caption, a text and a caption. And then I can use string, caption and button. So it has 21 overloaded methods that you can use, and it gives you the syntax and the data type that you need to use inside the brackets. Okay, but for now I only want a message box that tells me you are about to close the form. Okay, now let's see if it's going to display the message for me. I'm showing and I'm hiding. Close. Okay, it's not displaying the message for me. Why? Because I'm closing the form and then I'm displaying the message. Okay, remember code is in chronological order. It has to be executed in order, so I need to move this strip of code to the beginning to first tell the user, hey, you are about to close the form, and then you close the form. You can't close the form and then display a message that says you are about to close the form. So let's try it now. Start, show and hide, close. Okay, you are about to close the form. Okie dokie, and it closes the form. And okay, now I want to talk a bit about comments and indentation. I think that is my last topic. So first of all, how you equip comments is for other programmers looking at your code to make it easier for them to understand what your code does. Because if your code is your one method is 50 lines long, and another programmer needs to go on or take your code and import it into his program, he's not always going to know what that code does. So comments help for you as well to understand what your code does, because if you come back after 2 weeks, you're not going to have a clue what's going on in your code. So how we're going to use comments is just 2 forward slashes, or backward, I think that's forward slashes, and you can see it goes green for 2, and then you just start typing, say this will hide show the picture box, and you go to this line. It's not necessary to comment on each line that you do. It's usually just for a big snippet of code that you describe at the top and say this will convert the currency from rand to US dollar per se. But I'm just showing you line for line, but it's not good practice to comment on each line of your code. This will hide the picture box, and you say display an exit message. And one more thing, at the beginning of each of your code or your applications on each form, at the top you comment your first name, surname and your student number, so we know which student we are dealing with. Always remember to add your name and your surname to the top of every CS form code, so we can it's also to check for plagiarism, so it's just to help us a bit. And okay, the last thing I want to show you is the indentation. You can see the namespace intro has an opening bracket, and if you follow the stipple lines, you will go to the end of the bracket. Okay, so it tells you, it encapsulates all of that in the first 2 brackets. And you can see the class form1 also has an opening and an ending bracket, and the rest of the methods too. Now if I had not well, it automatically indented for you, but if there were no indentation, look how it will look. Okay, you see that does not look very well appealing, and you can't really read your code. Okay, it's some people even put the curly brackets on the same line, and now I have an error because I did that and now I'm in the comment, but the curly brackets now in the comment. So let's go to the error, and you can see from that one line, that was from that one bracket, I've got 9 errors. So you just go to your line 30, and or in this case 28, you can see, okay, wait, that thing should be there and the error should be gone. So it's also it's always a nice practice to practice indentation to make your code more readable. It definitely helps debugging as well. And it just reads easier. I think they should be indented one more time. Here we go. Okay, so now you're done with all your programming and your coding and your picture boxes and stuff. Now I want to save all. So you can go to File and Save All, or you can do Control-Shift S, or you can go to this double savings icon. If you hover over it, you will see Save All. So it's always good practice to save all, not just save, because save is only going to save your form 1. Okay, it's not going to per se, if you work in multiple forms, it's not going to save any changes you've done there. So always click on Save All to make sure all your code has been saved. Okay, so the last thing I want to show you, if I close the solution and exit my Visual Studios, I want to show you how to zip your solution files to upload it to eFundi, because we've had a lot of trouble in the past with students not submitting their projects correctly, and then it's just a mess. So you go to your folder, you can see it's intro, you have your intro folder, you have your solution. If you want to open it, and you open your solution again, you just double click that and it will open your solution for you. You have your folder which have all your forms, your CS, your designer, and your bin for your application. So when you submit an assignment or a practical on eFundi, you need to zip this entire folder. Okay, some people only zip this, only the solution file. It's not going to work. You will get 0 for that practical or for that assignment. You need to zip the main folder with all the solution and all the subfolders inside of it. Okay, so you right click on it and you go to Send to a compressed zip folder, and then you name it with your name, surname, and your student number. Always name it like that, and then this is the file you will upload to eFundi. You will see eFundi can upload zip files. This is the file you upload, not this folder, the zipped folder. And if I open the zip folder, you can see there's the solution file. The solution file won't work with its subfolder. So if you only submit the solution file, it won't even open because it needs the rest of the folder to function. Okay, so remember to zip the entire folder and not just the solution. And that's all I wanted to show you guys. Good luck.